Chilly here with Sirius Talis Moon. This is Sol Hour Jupiter Day. And I was seeing a little bit of the chemistry by the simple act of dealing with constipation, having a morning walk, and then entering kind of like an HMO where next to the water stood a cleaning disinfection. So I was looking at what is that thing and what is this product, because this is where that blue radioactive looking substance was chlorhexidine, which is also used by dentists. And I said, oh my God, it's good for the teeth. So I said, oh, maybe I should gargle some, if it only that and alcohol. After I gargled some, I think to myself, well, what is this a byproduct of? And this is where I moved to English. And beautiful AI answers. Propylene glycol, PG, is primarily synthetic byproduct derived from hydration of propylene oxide, a component made from petroleum. Is also obtained from glycerol glycerin, a major byproduct of biodiesel production process. Now we have glycerin also from vegetation components, but this is something that people needed to disinfect their hands with during COVID. This process makes it a versatile compound used in food, cosmetics, and antifreeze. Also meaning people eat that stuff. Um, Now it begs the question: what difference? Let's take glycerin. What difference is if it's made in a lab or from plant source? And you say, oh, it's the same chemical compound. First of all, it's an open-ended question. If we use glycerin from plants, then is the point of extraction. There are processes to plant therapy, which means we would need to know what plants and how is it used. Now, what is the difference when we talk about propylene oxide or biodiesel? As the question is, can I make glycerol instead of from biodiesel from plants? Now, I don't know this, I'm not a chemist. And as demand for renewable energy has grown, propylene glycol is now commonly made from glycerol, which is a major byproduct in the production of biodiesel fuel. Which prompts the question, what is biodiesel? As a person that doesn't have a car, some say it's more ecosystemic. I just don't like the nervous systems of drivers. And biodiesel, renewable, biodegradable alternative to petroleum diesel, manufactured from vegetable oils, animal fats, or recycled restaurant grease through a process called transesterification. So apparently, I was not harming myself too bad. Um, it reduces greenhouse gas emissions, functions in conventional diesel engines, and is commonly blended with petroleum diesel. Well, because that product was made from the glycerol, perhaps it is safe to say that that is actually a disinfectant. Um, key aspects of biodiesel: mixing feedstock oil with alcohol. Now, question is what oil? Because canola, I saw in basically kind of like Whole Food store, a cold pressed canola oil. Now, that's you know. Now here is the thing that I genuinely don't know. Um, there's a synagogue here, and they're happily singing. So I found out something about the location of the garden. Oh, I have nothing against music, but they might have something against women, um, which is an interesting juxtaposition. My solar return ascendant is Gemini, which would make my fourth house um, Virgo. And right now we have Ketu in Virgo, Mercury in Taurus. Um, Canola oil is produced by cleaning, heating, and flaking canola seeds, followed by mechanical pressing and solvent extraction. So basically, plant materia to maximize yield. The crude oil is then refined, degummed, bleached, and deodorized to create a stable cooking oil. That's the part where it stops being oil. Now here, this is an amazing thing because canola oil is produced from a plant, but then is bleached and deodorized. Now the question: cold is cold pressed oil in that regard um, makes it unprocessed? Because if it's cold pressed but bleached, then it's not unprocessed. We are at a time when a lot of people look at the food because of inflammation. Now going back to the production of from biodiesel, chlorhexidine, which is I guess another um, Now, it definitely kills fungi, but it can also cause repetitive issues. Um, what is it? Byproduct of um, first of all, that's in the mouthwash of people. But if it's produced from biodiesel, it means that, and biodiesel is produced from like canola oil now. When we put that in the car, it might create steel pollution. But when we put that in the mouth, it's bad. Now we got to go back to the petroleum issue. Petroleum issue, Standard Oil. Standard Oil is the trafficking codes that people like Annika Lucas are survivors of. So we understand that people that rape infants could care less about what people put in the mouth. But it's also true that if this is for Standard Oil, the children would be the 12th house. Okay? So for the people in Standard Oil, or the Rockefeller descendants, or the petroleum byproducts industry, they would say, oh, sheep or cattle, but the way the cattle is treated is whether we're gonna have mental diseases, and yeah, I'll just take a walk. Um, and that basically makes the lineage unhealthy. Now, if they're in like cults where they have medical curses to have power, treating that 12th house would make those medical curses unnecessary, and the excess power, which means the power over rather than the power with, also unnecessary, and will thus sustain the Rockefeller lineage in a way that is more ecosystemic, and create less hidden enemies. And so hidden enemies will become hidden allies, which is the transmutation around the 12th. One of the things I did when Pluto ingressed to my 12th house was listening to a colleague astrologer that had a stellium in Aquarius. Because that's where all the things I didn't know. Um, and so understanding what are the problems and the issues and the struggle in my 12th house, it also meaning that for such people, the way in which I undermine myself could also be something, particularly if they have a 9th house, that they might be acutely aware of, because it might be acutely affecting their lives. The willingness to listen, therefore, makes it from hidden enemy or hidden undermining to hidden allies. So there's a lot that can be said about the Rockefellers. Um, but this is also where the beginning of, or the conjunction of Pluto Neptune, it was a big crisis. And so When we think about big crisis, we think about this, a century and something ago, talking about the conglomerate. There was no Me Too. There were not suffragists because there wasn't democracy. This is, watch my episode, How Old Is Your Old Money? Because all the people, you see lovely activities of BIPOC people teaching people how to buy a gas station. And underneath that is sovereignty. And when we talk about lineage and legacies, basically so that the children will have food. Now, a century ago, we did not have the Me Too. We did not have, even people that were trafficked were fighting for acknowledgement as sex workers so that they will have some sort of acceptance into the community. Because if you think about the Golden Age, there were the courtesans. It was maybe a case of 1, 2 courtesans that became accepted into the elite class or the new elite class or the Gilded Age. Talking about the Gilded Age, not the Golden Age. So the layer of zero rape, particularly occultistic rape or rape of the infants, is something that tending to that and adapting to zero rape can cause even lineages like the Rockefellers, like the Rothschild, to sustain way beyond their years. It challenges the fundamentals of a lot of religious traditions. But it can completely abolish anti-Semitism. And then all of these things in our mouthwash, because I was not wrong to try to gargle that, okay? Alcohol, as we know, if we don't intake it, and a mouthwash is not supposed to be going into the internal organs, the residues, yes. So I was not wrong to think like that. It's just that it's not the correct materia. But if it's not good to put in the body, it's not good to put on the body, unless it's like clothes or stuff that we don't eat wool. So all of that, if we can connect the disinfection that during COVID we were forced to use. Whenever we take, and people that have young children take them a lot, one child is sick, then another child is sick, and then the parents have to have a day off. Or the parents, even now, you can't bring a child that is sick and somebody needs to be with that child. Pedos running free in the government. Of course, they are the raped infant, but you also don't want them to rape the child. So nobody has time to check what is that substance, and when they do, it's kind of like, oh, it's such a terrible thing that is done. The people that were raped don't care much about that. So now that we got the core issue about this little thing called chlorhexidine, it also makes me feel less in poverty that I don't have access to, let's say, expensive medical treatment. The best treatment, the best teeth treatment is that the teeth of the children will no longer rot because their parents ate unripe fruit. Now, I'm not a parent, So I'm in a good, um, gonna go to the bathroom and then I'm gonna tell you another anecdote about housing and population.